So I just finished watching episode 9 of 24 Legacy season number 1, and for me, this was the most dull episode yet. Not the worst episode of the season, but the most dull episode. So if you've been tracking with my reviews up to this point in time, essentially, I was really displeased with the first 6-7 episodes of the season. I'm a huge fan of the original 24, and I just wasn't getting the right energy, vibe. I didn't like the characters the way that I liked them on the original series, at least at the peak of the original series. This was much more like the weak side of the original series when it got derivative, started repeating itself, except with characters that I don't like as much. And so it just kind of was a little bit rough at times for me to get through because I was just focused so much in on the bad stuff in it because there wasn't good stuff that was kind of helping me to overlook the weaknesses of it. But over the last 2 or 3 episodes, it's really kind of picked up for me. They've found their stride. At the beginning of the season, my big kind of issue was that there's also like 10, 12 storylines going on with 20 characters in 15 locations. And so we didn't get any traction on any one story because we were jumping around so much. And some of them I just didn't care about at all. And then in the last 2-3 episodes, it focused in a lot more to only like 3-4 stories in 3 or 4 locations. And so they got a lot more momentum and the story progressed. And then we get to this one, episode 9, and it felt like kind of just slammed on the brakes. It really, what it felt like is because they had 2 or 3 episodes with lots of action, really progressing the story with tracking down the terrorists, interrogating Ingram's dad. They made a lot of steps forward, and then you get to a certain point in time that you're going to have to pause and reflect on what happened. So then, in this episode, Ingram's dad is released, and so you have to have Ingram sit down with his dad, and they have kind of this processing thing where Ingram's like, I'm dropping out, and his dad's like, you can't do that. You can still make it. And you're just processing, but it's like, okay, we're not moving forward. We're just reflecting on what happened in the past and setting up what's going to happen in the future. Likewise, you get out of the last episode where finally Carter's brother goes in with the gangbusters last episode, start taking out terrorists. It's kind of ridiculous, kind of awesome. Some of my favorite stuff of the season so thus far, making him maybe my favorite character of the season. Was it Isaac, I believe his name? And it goes in and takes people out, and then we have to reflect on that in this episode. Instead of moving the story forward, we have Eric and his brother having a back and forth conversation. We have the brother hanging out with the wife having a back and forth conversation about what happened, setting up what's going to happen in the future. But kind of, it's much more reflective and forward looking rather than being in the moment with attention and an action. So the episode did have several action sequences in it, little things that happened, but they felt like all set up or filler. So the whole plot line where there's a lady with a bomb and who is this lady? How are we going to defuse the bomb, get it all off of her? It was just like we had to have something in the episode that was kind of creating a tension, so they put this in there. But it didn't have the like urgency like you had in the past 2 episodes. Like, no, we want to get back in there and take the terrorists out. Is he going to break out? Is the bomb going to go off? Like this one, it was much more of just kind of like, okay, what's going to... It's happening, but it just wasn't captivating as the last couple episodes have been. And so likewise, you also felt like Tony Almeida being gone from the episode. You felt his absence, and then at the end of the episode, they showed the trailer for next week, and I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to see this week. That's what, like, setting up Almeida's probably going to get back in on the action. Someone's been kidnapped. Carter has to go out and get him with an urgency to save the person. Whereas this one, it just felt like... we're in the plane, circling over the airport, waiting till we can actually come into that final story arc and land this season. That's very much what this episode felt like. So you had the beginning story arcs of setting everything up. It took like 6-7 episodes. Didn't like that one very much. Then you had this middle story arc right here where they're really tracking down the terrorists. Tony Almeida gets involved, and I really liked that one. And it felt like this was the filler episode, setting everything up and reflecting back on everything thus far, going into our final 3 episodes that start next week that look like they're going to be really good and they're going to end really strong. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping for. So all in all, I didn't think it was a bad episode. It just was like a filler episode that didn't have the first half of the season just frustrated me, made me angry, and I was like noticing things that I shouldn't be noticing while watching 24, and I shouldn't be thinking, that's not what police do. Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are we have so many, like, this is so improper. That I wasn't doing that during this episode. I was just kind of like, okay, can we get to it? Can we get back on the track? And what I was really thinking was what happened that the episode would end and you'd be like, yes, finally, this is what I wanted. This is where I wanted things to go, as opposed to circling for a full episode. And I just don't need to see Nicole Carter like reading notes like, he's been lying to me. He's been lying to me. I don't want to see a whole bunch of that while watching 24. I don't want to see his brother being like, man, you need to be honest with your wife. You can't. Like, just enough of it, but not this. Just, it felt like a whole episode of that type of. Just right off the top of my head, the two brothers, brother and the wife, and then father and son. There's like 3 of those, and then even kind of Ingram's wife had some of those, like 4 or 5 different reflecting, like, oh man, what have I done with my life? What have I been doing? Do people know who I am? Do I know who my wife is? Do I know my brother? Why are you doing? It's just reflective. Too much of it for one episode. So these are just kind of my initial thoughts, reactions. Certainly, if I were going to rank this amongst the episodes, it'd probably the 4th best of the season, which seems like I'm ranking it really high after what I said, but that's how frustrated I really was with the first 6 or so episodes of the season. But that's my take on the episode. How about you? I do these videos because I want to talk about 24, but I don't want to just talk about 24 Legacy. I want to talk about 24 Legacy with you. So tell me in the comment section, what did you think about it? Let's have a back and forth conversation. Are you thinking that this episode or season's going to end with the 3 best episodes of the season? That's what I'm feeling is going to happen. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. So I'm actually kind of very much looking forward to the end of this season to see how they land this plane. I'm pumped about it. Tell me what your thoughts down below. If you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I like to talk about movies, do movie reviews, movie news, do occasional TV reviews like this one. I'm trying to do this full season of 24. I missed a couple episodes in the middle there, but that's what my channel is like, and sometimes I'm more organized than these reviews. These 24 reviews are a lot more kind of reaction and immediate thoughts as opposed to fully thought out reviews, intentionally because I want to spark conversation. Anyway, if you enjoy my channel, if you enjoy this content and you want to see more, please click that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.